For decades, China insisted it would never build military bases on foreign soil. It was a core part of its foreign policy, a promise of non-interference that set it apart from Western powers. But things change. Today, on the sun-scorched coast of East Africa, that promise has been broken. China has established its first ever overseas military outpost in the tiny nation of Djibouti. This isn't just another base, it's a powerful statement. It signals a monumental shift in how China sees itself and its role in the world. It's a move from being a regional economic giant to becoming a global power with military reach. And it all starts here, in this small, strategic corner of the world. The location is everything. Djibouti sits at the crossroads of major global shipping lanes, right next to a critical choke point called the Bab-el-Mandeb Strait. This narrow waterway is the southern entrance to the Red Sea, a vital artery connecting the Indian Ocean to the Mediterranean Sea via the Suez Canal. Think about it. A huge portion of the world's oil and commercial goods sails right past this spot every single day. By planting its flag here, China isn't just setting up a military facility. It is positioning itself to oversee, protect, and influence one of the most important maritime highways on the planet. A move that has sent ripples through capitals from Washington to Tokyo. So what does China's first overseas military base actually look like? Forget any idea of a simple, dusty outpost. This is a fortress. Spanning about 90 acres, the facility is a modern, heavily fortified compound designed for long-term operations. It is surrounded by thick concrete walls, guard towers, and layers of security fences. The base is built to be self-sufficient and highly secure, a small piece of sovereign Chinese territory on African soil. From the air, it looks imposing and meticulously planned, standing in stark contrast to the arid landscape around it. It's a clear signal that China is here to stay, and they have built a facility to match that ambition. Inside those walls, you find a mix of military muscle and practical infrastructure. The most critical feature is its massive naval pier, which is over 1,100 feet long. This isn't just a dock, it's a deep water berth capable of accommodating China's largest warships, including its aircraft carriers and amphibious assault ships. This pier allows the People's Liberation Army Navy, or PLAN, to resupply, rearm, and repair its vessels without relying on any other nation's facilities. The base also features a large helicopter pad, extensive underground storage facilities for fuel and munitions, and modern barracks that can house thousands of troops in relative comfort, a far cry from temporary deployment quarters. The technology here is believed to be state-of-the-art. Satellite imagery and intelligence reports suggest the base is equipped with advanced sensor and radar systems. These systems can monitor air and sea traffic for hundreds of miles around, giving China a clear picture of everything moving through the strategic Bab-el-Mandeb Strait. This is a crucial intelligence gathering capability. The base also has its own command and control center, directly linking it to military headquarters back in Beijing. This allows for real-time communication and coordination, turning a distant outpost into an integrated node in China's global military network. It's a high-tech nerve center on the African coast. Security is paramount. The base is designed to be defended from both land and sea attacks. The perimeter is a formidable obstacle, and it's patrolled by Chinese Marines. There are also reports of advanced electronic warfare systems and air defense capabilities being installed. This level of self-protection goes far beyond what you'd expect from a simple logistics facility. It's a hardened military installation built to withstand a potential conflict. China is not the only global power with a footprint in Djibouti. In fact, this small nation has become one of the most crowded military hotspots in the world. Just a few miles from the Chinese fortress is Camp Lemonnier, the largest and most important United States military base in Africa. This sprawling American facility is home to thousands of personnel and serves as a critical hub for counter-terrorism operations across the continent and the Middle East. The proximity of these two bases, belonging to the world's two greatest strategic rivals, is unprecedented. It's a geopolitical oddity where American and Chinese troops can literally watch each other from across the fence. The United States isn't the only other tenant. France, the former colonial power, has maintained a significant military presence in Djibouti for decades. The French base is one of its largest overseas, used for training and as a staging point for operations in the region. Japan also has its own base here, its first overseas military facility since World War II, established primarily to support its anti-piracy naval patrols. Italy and Spain also have smaller contingents. This tiny country, smaller than the state of New Jersey, hosts the military forces of some of the most powerful nations on Earth, all packed together in a delicate and sometimes tense coexistence. So, how does China's base compare? While smaller in overall size than America's Camp Lemonnier, the Chinese facility is newer, more modern, and in some ways, more fortified. Its most significant advantage is its dedicated deep-water naval pier. The United States base, by contrast, has to share Djibouti's commercial port facilities, which can create logistical challenges. The Chinese built their own exclusive port access, giving them unparalleled freedom of naval movement. This key difference highlights their focus on maritime power. While the United States base is geared more towards special operations and drone warfare, the Chinese base is clearly designed to support a blue water navy operating far from home. The dynamic between these bases is a quiet, simmering competition. United States military officials have openly expressed concerns about Chinese intelligence gathering activities, worrying that the new base could be used to monitor American operations. There have been reports of laser incidents targeting United States pilots and accusations of espionage. For Djibouti, hosting these rival powers is a lucrative balancing act, bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars in rent. But for the rest of the world, it's a microcosm of a new global power struggle, where the sands of Africa have become the front line of 21st century geopolitics. Why did China choose this specific spot to plant its military flag? The answer is, honestly, a mix of pragmatism, necessity, and long-term strategic vision. For years, the Chinese Navy has been conducting anti-piracy patrols in the Gulf of Aden, which is, well, a dangerous stretch of water infested with Somali pirates. These missions were, to put it mildly, a logistical nightmare. Chinese warships had to travel thousands of miles and often relied on commercial ports in other countries for resupply. This was inefficient, expensive, and frankly, diplomatically awkward. Establishing a permanent logistics base in Djibouti was a practical solution to a very real problem, allowing the plan to sustain its presence in the region much more effectively. But anti-piracy is only part of the story. The base is fundamentally about protecting China's massive and growing economic interests in Africa and the Middle East. China is Africa's largest trading partner, and it has invested billions in infrastructure projects across the continent through its Belt and Road Initiative. Furthermore, a significant portion of China's oil imports travels through the Indian Ocean and the Red Sea. In the event of a regional crisis or conflict, this base gives Beijing the ability to deploy forces to protect its investments, evacuate its citizens, and secure the vital sea lanes that fuel its economy. It's a military insurance policy for its global economic empire. The base also serves as a critical stepping stone for China's naval ambitions. A nation's ability to project power globally depends on its navy, and a navy just can't operate far from home without a network of overseas bases for refueling, repairs, and rest. This Djibouti facility is the first link in what many analysts believe will become a string of pearls, a series of Chinese-controlled ports and bases stretching across the Indian Ocean. It allows the Chinese Navy to gain invaluable experience in expeditionary operations, moving from a coastal defense force to a true blue water navy capable of sustained deployments anywhere in the world. Finally, the base is a powerful symbol of China's arrival as a global security provider. For decades, the United States has been the world's policeman, with its network of bases ensuring stability in key regions. By establishing its own base, China is signaling that it is ready and willing to take on a greater security role, at least where its own interests are concerned. It changes the perception of China from being a purely economic power to one with military clout. This move enhances China's international prestige and gives it a seat at the table in security discussions concerning Africa and the Middle East, a table it was previously excluded from. The establishment of the Djibouti base has been met with a spectrum of reactions, from quiet concern to outright alarm. The United States has been the most vocal critic. American officials worry that the base is part of a broader strategy to challenge US influence in Africa and to eventually restrict American military access to the region. The Pentagon has warned that the base gives China a platform for intelligence gathering against US forces and could be used to control access to the vital Bab-el-Mandeb Strait in a future conflict. This close proximity of rival military powers creates a constant risk of miscalculation, turning a regional hotspot into a potential global flashpoint. Other regional and global powers are also paying close attention. India, which views the Indian Ocean as its own strategic backyard, is deeply concerned about China's growing naval presence. The Djibouti base allows Chinese warships to operate more persistently in the Indian Ocean, directly challenging India's regional dominance. For European nations like France, China's presence is another sign of waning Western influence on a continent where they have long held sway. For many African nations, however, the reaction is more complex. While they welcome Chinese investment, some worry about becoming entangled in a great power rivalry and the potential loss of sovereignty. Ultimately, the base in Djibouti is about much more than just logistics or fighting pirates. It is a clear indicator of China's grand strategy under President Xi Jinping. This strategy involves transforming China into a global superpower with the military might to protect its interests anywhere on the planet. The base is a training ground for expeditionary warfare, a hub for power projection into Africa and the Middle East, and a symbol of China's ambition to reshape the international order. It is the first of what could be many such bases, as China seeks to build a global network to support its expanding economic and political influence. What we are witnessing is the birth of a new era. The world is moving from a unipolar moment, dominated by the United States, to a multipolar one, where countries like China are asserting their power on the global stage. The fortress in Djibouti is one of the most tangible symbols of this historic shift. It represents China's determination to no longer be a passive observer, but an active shaper of global events. How the United States and the rest of the world adapt to this new reality will define international security for decades to come. The dragon has left its lair, and its new perch on the Horn of Africa is just the beginning.